happy enough to draw without any fear, because I know drawing has a lot to do with making mistakes and fears and, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that. I hear that all the time. However, it's all doable with a lot of practice. So I offer it for free. So all I ask is that you all hit the like button if you like what you see, and share if you really like what you see. So let's get into this. I've got here some examples of some sketches that I done spontaneously yesterday, and as you can see, I'm practicing on adding layers of lines, layers of hatching, and this is what I'll be showing you how I do this to make things look more three-dimensional and so on. So if you are new to my channel, I have many different types of artwork, not just anatomical stuff, but this one will probably be going down the road of being a little bit more anatomical than anything else. But we will do some basic stuff before we start getting into anything else. So I hope you all have a sheet of paper and you are ready to get involved in this. So now we're talking about line work. So what I would suggest you do, if you want to get more confident with regards to, how you doing, V? You doing all right? Had a good birthday? So what I would suggest you do is practice just drawing lines like this. Try and keep them as parallel as possible. And then also like this. Oops, I've gone a bit wonky already. But even if it does, it doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. We keep going and then we go diagonal. We're only human, right? And then we go diagonal in the other way. You don't have to use a pen. You can use a pencil. It's entirely up to you. And then what we do is we combine the two, all right? So I know this is a very basic technique, but it's the fundamentals. And the fundamentals, I believe, are the key. So I'm going to do the 2, and now I've got the 3. Like so. Combine all 3. And this is something you can practice even if you've got drawer's block or something. Something like this you can just practice. It hasn't really got a fixed outcome. Like you're not drawing an object or some sort of item, but you can still get a lot from it. Like so. So like here now we've got a few hatch techniques and then we've combined them all together. Is everyone getting that? B's back in the house. V and B back in the house. Even as an artist, I love watching this. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. We're all learning, right? This is what I say to people all the time. We're all learning. So, like, these are the things that I practice for this type of thing, right? So now, what you can do as well, just as a form of practice, is arcs. So my pen is getting a little bit blotchy here. I'm just going to dab it on the side here. How you doing again? So now we're going to do the same, but we're going to draw arcs. And again. And then we can combine. And as I said, it will never be perfect, but it's good for your concentration. And then as you can see, you start to notice things like if you compare these two here, if you compare these two here, because we've got arced lines, it's given us a more of a mound shape. Do you see that? Right? So that's where you have to think, if you're drawing something, this mound shape gives it more of a mass. So let's draw some shapes like this. What you do is you look at it and you evaluate it on its own. You do another set, maybe. And then you ask yourself, how can I use this? What could I use that for? Okay, let me combine it with another shape. Excuse me. Excuse me. So we've taken two different line types. Excuse me, I have to drink something. No, don't say that. You are, Wesley. Don't. I keep getting that. Everyone's like, I've learned more in 2 minutes than 2 years. I'm like, and unfortunately, I applied for a school down here and they didn't accept me. Excuse me. But no, there you go. Does it really matter? No, it doesn't. But like you see, I'm just experimenting with these. So now we've got like a dome, like a fence type shape here. And it's literally, you just have to experiment with your lines. So now I'm going to experiment with some different lines, right? So I'm doing some broken lines. You look at it and you think, I'm not sure what I'm getting from that. However, let's do it again. And gradually making the lines longer. And then smaller. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little bit more intense here. So I'm going to go, and now I'm going to go over here again. And then what do you see when I add another layer of line work here? What do you actually see in the end? I'm going to leave it to you to judge. I'm going to go a little bit more intense here again. And a little bit more intense here again. And what do you see here now? I know Morley College. I don't know. I've not been to college for years. Not for years. But I think it was one of the best ones. The one that I applied for was Camberwell. It was in Camberwell because I used to live in Camberwell. But I think Morley College used to be one of the best. Thank you, V. It gets darker, yeah. And it almost, can you see it almost peaks? We have an object that peaks upwards. Exactly. It's got depth. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So these are the things you can just simply play with. Like someone just said, gradation, perfect. You can just say, let's just draw lines like this. Look at that. We've literally got a tornado in 5 seconds. And then we could say, right, let's make it a little bit more intense in parts. And we've literally got the eye of the tornado here. And it didn't take hours, But it's just an experiment. You just look and you think, I didn't realize that would do that, Or you could say, right, okay, I'm going to just experiment with another line stroke. Let's go like this. Let's go like that. And then let's go like this. This is purely experimental because I have no idea what I want to achieve with this. However, I look at that now and I think, this could almost be some sort of basket structure where you weave something together. Thank you. What the helly? You know, this is, and then you think, okay, let me take that to the next level. Let's draw it a little bit more, bit tidier than before. And then also here. See, because that could be something you could use to decorate some kind of basket if you're drawing some tiling or something. And then obviously you could add the intensity of color or shading. And now we really do have some sort of basket or some sort of tiling. Do you see what I mean? And we could play around with even adding some very light hatch here. See, look at that. That is jumping off the page now. Where we have almost like a fold. We've got something that's folding inwards that way. And that is just purely experimental. Obviously, you have to be aware of where you add your shading. That's important. Loosening my sketches. Yeah, well, that is the key as well, to have very loose sketching. How you doing, CJ? Hey, yeah, how you doing? It's important. Hi, mate. No, I don't think there are any books I can recommend, if I'm honest. But you can find this live is being recorded, and you can find pretty much all of my lives here. You will find all of my lives here. So now let's talk about hatching a bit and how you can use that, right? So let's just do a couple of random lines. So now if I'll put that here, if I hatch this like that, what does that tell you? All of a sudden you start to read this differently from that, right? And now you start to see some sort of ribbon. And because I've got this white patch here or clear patch here, you see an edge. So now we've added an extra thickness to it. Do you see what I mean? It's just playing around with that. Here, I'm going to draw another one here. And then just continue that line here. Then I'm going to hatch just behind here. And now all of a sudden we have, I know this might be very basic for some, but for many, they probably don't know this, right? So if it's too basic for you, my apologies, but it's something you can always practice. So now we have one object behind the other, and let's place another one even further behind. And then we add a bit of shading. Now we have 3 ribbons overlapping each other. If you like what you see, please hit the like button. I will be posting all of these on my YT channel, so please join that, and please please share if you really like what you see. Yeah, you did say that you were here. Well, the book I've got is called Godfried Bames. That's the book I've got, but I'm not sure if that's the best one. It's only as much as you put into it. If you've got, I'm sure that there are better ones or just as good ones, but the one I've got is that. That's the book I've got. Thank you very much for the kind gifts. Exactly. So now, there you go. Let's do a fold. Let's just draw a fold. So you look at that and you think, well, how is that a fold? The reason why we're not seeing a fold is because we haven't added any hatching. So now we have a fold. Yeah. See, now here we've got this overlap. Here we've got this fold. So let's take it to the next level and say, okay, let's go 1, 2, 3, like so. And now I add my hatching. And then we have a fold. Again here. Just very, very delicate, you know, very delicate. Let's add a little edge to it here. So it's got a little bit of a thickness. And we've got some sort of metal. It looks more like a metal, right? I didn't add the thickness here, but I would add that. A little bit of a thickness. Tuck. So you still got your homework. Yeah, that's nice. I'm going to be doing a lot more lives every morning as I do. Had a bit of a rest this weekend, but I'll be doing a lot more lives. So if you like this kind of stuff, it's important to practice it, right? Especially, well, I practice it all the time. So let's keep going. Let's go like so. And please do the same. Practice yourself, right? Don't just sit and watch. Well, you can, but you don't learn as much unless you practice it yourself. That's just my opinion. So yeah, Zuzu. It then that's a totally different tutorial because you have to understand the light, which I will get into slightly now. So say for example, here we've got 4 circles and not one of them look 3-dimensional. However, as soon as we start adding a little bit of hatching, it starts to become, this is a flat and this is a 3-dimensional, right? So this is something that you have to understand. Light source is coming from here. My little sun is here, shining a light, or a torch is shining a light. This is why we have this face here. in dark, excuse me, well lit. And then here it's in darkness. See, now we have a three-dimensional object. Here is 2D. Here is 3D. And the face is quite complicated because we have the nose, we have the eyes. You have to really understand a lot about the depth and the contours of the face. And I would do that in stages. I would probably recommend, what would I recommend? For example, here, if I draw another sphere here, you have to understand what is behind and what is in front. So if our light source is again here, our torch or whatever, you have to understand that, okay, well, this side would definitely be darker. Here would definitely be darker. And then here would be really dark. So then we add another layer of hatching at the bottom here. And possibly even a totally dark line here. Obviously, we'd have to add some shadowing, like so, as well, because it would be casting a shadow. And then maybe here as well, a little bit. My Discord, the link is actually in my bio. Thank you, Zuzu, for saying that. It's been a long day. My day has just begun. You see that? So light source and so on. And as I say, experiment. Okay, so now let's draw a hole in this object here. How would you like that, right? How would you like that? The light source is coming from here. And then we can add, so some of the light might be actually bleeding through into here. So we'll just add a little layer here of darkness. So now all of a sudden we've got like a bead. It's almost like a bead. You see that? And we could actually so we've got a little bit of light floating around here on this edge here. We could even use one of our textures to make it look like something wooden. And we've got some kind of grain in this bead. You still remember me? No way, it's real. Oh, when you said that to me? I think I do remember you. I had that a couple of times with these statements like that. Thank you, Rose. That's really nice of you. So let's turn this into something with an opening. Zack, look at that. We now have a ring. Thank you, Eloquently Wasted. I like that name, actually. It's quite cool. Oh, you're in Canada. 1 a.m. in Canada. I should be sleeping, but you're teaching me. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. So do you still remember when how to shade? Oh, I don't know. Can you imagine how many people ask me the same question? That's what I should do, actually. Shade the body. But I like to do the basics first. even for myself. And then we can shade on the inside here. Look at that. We've got a ring. And then we can add a little bit of. I get so many questions. Do you remember me? And I go, should I? No, no offense. No offense. We've now got a ring. Art Walker, you should make a tutorial for one. Is that for you? For one? What do you mean for one? Is there one already? I don't know what your one means. Do you mean what do you call it? 1-to-1. Oh. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I should do that actually. I should do that one. That's what I'll do. I'll do one on shading the skin this week. But I won't do it as scrappy as this. I'll do it nicely. And I have to start to remember to drawing with pencil. Pencil is a totally different ball game. Totally different ball game. Jump scare. Well, you can do sketches like me. That's for sure. You can. You just have to start sketching. I did a pencil one already. I can do it now. Actually, we'll do a little one with the pencil because the pencil is it's a totally different tool. It is really a totally different tool. You have to imagine you can press harder and then softer, right? With this Bic, if you go harder, it does get darker. Softer, it gets thinner. Right? It's they're very similar tools, but you can't smudge. You can smudge that, but you can't smudge this. So if you're using the pencil, you have to understand the actual lead. You have to understand that different leads have different weights. I've done a tutorial on that already, so you have to check that out. The principles are exactly the same. See that? Principle. And also when you're drawing, very important, try and get this motion in your wrist. If you're going straight up and down, I'm doing this. It's like a what do you call it? Fine motor skill. Almost muscle memory, right? And then here I'm thinking motion. But remember to breathe when you do that. You remember to breathe, right? So get this motion. Some people like to draw it, pull it towards themselves, like so. Some people push away. I think I'm more comfortable pulling towards myself. But then if I'm drawing diagonals, I like to go away. These are things you have to work out yourself. I like to go away. Let me go. So I was going away. Let me go towards myself. I practice both. Do you see what I mean? You have to play with that. Let's go. Yeah, I'll try and upload it today. I've just uploaded the other one that I did this morning. The one that I did this morning was a bit on perspective and foreshortening. So should be on YouTube as we speak. I think it was 10 minutes away from being uploaded. Oh, I didn't add a description to it. Yes, it is there, but there's no description. But it's just hand perspective and for foreshortening. So that was this morning. Thank you, Rose. That's really nice. And thank you very much for the lovely, kind gifts that I'm receiving. Yeah, this is being recorded as we speak. And obviously, when you've got a pencil, I'm just going to grab a basic pencil. But you have to check my feed for this one. This is a standard HB. I go into all the pencils. Practice pressing quite hard. And then gradually lifting off. This you cannot practice enough. Quite hard. And then I'm gradually lifting off. You can hear it, right? And then gradually lifting off. Little things like that you have to practice. Draw spherical objects and shade them. Draw another one and shade it. Especially if you get to the point where you can't, I don't know what to draw. Just do something like this and try and get it as smooth as possible. Try and get it as smooth and as light as possible without using one of those smudge tools. Just use the pencil, only the pencil. Do another one. And I don't know if I said it to you before, but don't use straight lines on three-dimensional objects. It flattens them. If I show you here, it flattens the object. If I draw a sphere here and again here, if I draw straight lines on it, it turns out it looks like a drain, flat. But if I draw curved lines on it, it looks like a globe. Yeah, I don't use the pad anymore. I used to, but not anymore. This pencil is just a standard HB pencil. I missed the beginning. Okay. Yeah, I'll post this one. This one's being recorded. Nah, your English is better. I don't know what language you speak, CJ. I'm not sure, but your English is good. Don't worry. Yeah, that's good if you do that every day. Oh, that's nice to see my life and it makes you happy. That's really nice. I was right. Notebook pad. The pencil is just a Caran d'Ache. That's the brand. But I'm not getting sponsored. That could be any brand, really. It doesn't have to be a specific one. It doesn't have to be. So, let's finish this up. Has anyone got any questions? Okay, let's do something else. Look at this. Let's draw something like a chain. I'm thinking a chain. Why not, indeed? So let's draw. So this is going to be a little bit more complex. But these are the questions you have to ask yourself when you want to draw something a bit more complex. So if I'm drawing two links of a chain. And then it comes out here. Sup. Right, I won't bother to go any further than that. I'll just do it, leave it like that. So we've got a chain here, a couple of links from it. You have to ask yourself the question, where is all the shading? All right, where do I need to shade it so it looks more realistic? You have to find out the zones, right? Don't forget that this at the moment looks very flat. So you have to make sure you understand that it's not flat. It has a surface here and here. You see that? We've turned that into a three-dimensional object. Before, it just looked like this. But because we added these faces, it's turned it into a 3D object. You can round that off a bit better. Yeah? So then, now you have to ask yourself the question, where does the shading belong? Chances are it wouldn't have the shading here. Chances are, if we have the light source coming from here, that's our torch, here would be well lit, here would be well lit, and so on. So now I say to myself, right, okay, so that means I would have to shade it here. Because the light is coming from there. Here as well. Because the light is coming from the top right. And then also here. This would cast a shadow here. And then that means from here to roughly here would also be in darkness. And obviously here we'd have a little bit more shading as well, because that would be casting a shadow on the piece underneath. Let me just grab that. Might be a little bit easier to understand. Shadow is being cast down here. Shadow is being cast down here and here. I've just got a frame attached to my desk. Just got a frame attached to my desk. See, so that's what you have to understand. Even if you draw one link, if we draw one link like that, imagine it as a three-dimensional object, because now it's very flat. So we just make that 3D. We give it a thickness, and we give it a thickness in here, like that. And then we add some shading. And now we have our three-dimensional O shape, actually, or zero. See? Just like that. The pencil is called Caran d'Ache. I'm not getting sponsored by them. So if anyone does work for them, Caran d'Ache. ACHE. But you can pick up any pencil. I wouldn't get stuck into all the brands and stuff like that. I would always work Just a moment. Let me just clear my throat quickly. Oh, so just quickly finish up. So what I tend to do is, if I've got anything, I will work from light to dark, right? Because if you go dark too early, you can't really go any darker. You're quite limited. So if we've got here an arm like that, and if I'm really happy with the overall shape, then I'm thinking, okay, where do the muscles meet? Where do they fold? How do they contour and stuff like that? So where's he gone? Oh, here. So now I'm thinking, okay, here would definitely be darker. So then, remember, you can go straight, but you have to be aware that I'm still contouring it just by shortening the lines here. It's not necessarily wrong, but if you don't want the shape to be flat, then you have to remember now, I've got this light here. I'm showing this light here. So if the muscle is dipping here slightly, I'm following the same rule and I'm going to go higher again. So we have this light patch here and a light patch here. I'm going to add a little bit more here. So now we've got this depth in the shoulder where we have this contour. You can soften it. If, say, for example, if that is too bright, then you go a little bit higher. Then you go darker here. And then you can all of a sudden start to see it's starting to really take shape. And then let's add a little bit more here. And we've really got an arm. Let's say here I want to add that vein. We've got this vein that runs through the arm here. I'm going to add that vein. I'm not going to add a line. I'm just going to add shading as to where I think the vein should be. So now we've got this arm and a vein here. That's how I achieve that. And this is where I'm experimenting with cross hatch, and following the contours of the muscle. Always following the contours of the muscle. That's how I get that effect there. So I have to slowly finish up because I've been going for nearly an hour today again. Yeah, probably HB. Yeah, we got that one. Yeah, I usually work from light to dark. Thank you for hitting the like button, by the way, Mr. Walker. Any advice on learning proportion? Proportion, you just have to graft it. If I'm honest, there's no real. If you especially if you're talking about the human body, just use the head as the measuring stick for everything. I would use the head. Yeah, that will have to be in another tutorial, I'm afraid, to say hands and legs. I could do a hand one tomorrow, maybe. Do you have a set of different pencils? Yes, I do. I did post a live on my pencils, so check it out. I've got from about 8B, which is really, really soft, to 3H, which is really, really hard. Good day. Thank you for the follows, everyone. Midas, how you doing? Oh yeah, I told the camera stand. Yeah, I've got a camera stand holding there. Any advice on learning proportions? I think I covered that just now. You okay? Who, me? I'm fine. Yeah, I'm good. I just had to cough. And then I had to run to the little boy's room. That's why I took a long time. Sorry about that. Thank you, Flora. Ending the live now. Nearly. I've got to get ready for work soon. You are you drawing teacher? Yes. Yes, I am. I'm teaching people to draw, yeah. As well as other things. I do other things as well. But mainly drawing, because drawing is, I think, it's the foundation for pretty much anything. Well, why would you not go? Why did you apply to go? You must have a desire to draw or paint. I have no idea. Why not? Is it your passion? If it's not your passion, then maybe you shouldn't. But if it is your passion, I would. Why not, indeed? That was literally look near or whatever your name is. I can't read it. If you look on my feed, I literally uploaded that just now. So you need to go onto my YouTube. You go onto my YouTube and you will find that video. It's right at the top. I did that this morning. I'm not doing it again, unfortunately. Good. Okay. So I have to go, everyone. I have to cut this one a bit short because I just realized that the time has flown. I'm going to wish you all a lovely day. Thank you very, very much for joining me. All that have joined me and given me very kind gifts. Happy Corner, Sanja, the bearded artist, and so on. Thank you to all that are following. If you're not following me on TikTok, feel free. If you're not following me or subscribed on YouTube, you should, because that's where I'm going to be heading soon. So it's your choice. Thank you very much. Take care, and we'll see each other very soon. Thank you very, very much, V. You're a star. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.